If you've picked up this book, chances are you're looking for a change. You may feel like something is missing from your life, but you don't know what it is. Or you may be stuck in a rut, waking up every morning wondering how you're going to make it through another day. If this is you, I'm so glad you've come to me, so I can tell you in as many ways as I know how that that is not what your life is supposed to be. We're all born with the desire and the right to be happy. But somewhere along the way, many of us got conditioned by family, friends, religion, society at large, whoever, to believe that the human condition is predominantly one of suffering. And if we're not happy, it's just because that's the way things are. And that is the greatest lie ever told. We're taught to settle, and we're made to feel guilty if we single-mindedly go after something we want. We go on to believe that our desires are selfish, that our self-love is arrogant and pompous. All our joy and innocence are stripped away as we're programmed like androids to live lives of servitude and responsibility. Too many of us buy into the idea that there are rules to how this life works and dues that must be paid. We grow up being told that if we behave and play by the rules, the good life will happen for us in some vaguely defined future. Parents preach this in the home, teachers preach it in the classroom, bosses preach it in the workplace. This belief is handed from generation to generation to generation. But for most of us, happiness never comes. That's because society is built on the repression of individual desires. In the distant past, it would have been impossible to maintain any kind of social order unless people thought they had to take on the jobs and responsibilities that society required. You know what I mean. Someone has to do all the crap jobs that no one wants. Socialization is the transformation of the human organism into a person who functions in a social system. And the most effective method of socializing people is to make them identify so thoroughly with a social order that they can no longer imagine themselves breaking any of its rules. History has shown us that that's super scary, right? In the past, socialization was enforced through rewards and punishments based on basic human needs for survival. Step out of line and we'll kill you. Speak against the government or religion, and we'll take away your livelihood so you can't feed your family anymore. These are extreme scenarios that, while unfortunately still playing out in many parts of the world, are far from our reality here. Times have changed, and most countries are democracies. So if you want to stop working at some shitty job or accepting some shitty life, luckily, no one's going to come and kill you or take all your dough. You might be thinking, but what if we all upped and started doing whatever we wanted? It would be anarchy. Not true. Society would continue to function. It would just be forced to evolve. Let's take a very basic example. Hypothetically, say that all the train conductors in the country decided to quit their jobs and follow their dreams to open their own businesses. The economy would be just fine, and eventually, so would the trains. Each of the new businesses would generate jobs and local income, and if we're savvy enough to put a man on the moon, I think we're savvy enough to develop technology to run trains without conductors. Wake up and think about it. Society tells us it's okay to want things, but only within reason and at a price. We're allowed to want comfort, but in due time and within limits. A happy marriage with 2.5 kids and a picket fence is cool, but a sprawling estate on the California coastline, being married to the person of your dreams, doing what you love as a career? Who the hell do you think you are? Imagine a college student saying, I want to be a billionaire by the time I graduate. You and I both know that most people would call that student an upstart and say that was an outrageous, arrogant statement. People would smack that kid down. The attitude from parents, teachers, and society would be, who are you? That's not how life works. You have to pay your dues like the rest of us. And maybe the student would let it affect him or her, or maybe not. Clearly, the founders of YouTube, Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Joed Karim, chose not to let anyone smack them down. And they ended up selling their company to Google for a cool $1.65 billion. And the founders of Facebook, MySpace, and Google wouldn't be smacked down either. Let's be clear. I'm not saying money buys happiness. But these successful innovators are not just people with money. They're people who made money doing what they love. Ask yourself this. How much deprivation, how much self-effacement must you suffer before you act on your desire for meaning and fulfillment, before you thrive in your life instead of barely surviving it? Now, don't get me wrong. You can't skip the process of learning. You do have to go to medical school before you can practice medicine. But there's no rule saying you can't be the best brain surgeon in the entire world upon graduation. The truth is, there are no rules, period. Anything is possible if you have the knowledge and do the work. In fact, not only is it possible, it's critical. We're here to cultivate our passion, fulfill our dreams, and take this exquisite experience called life to its apex. The human condition isn't about suffering. It's about achieving and being all that we can be. Sure, suffering is a part of life, but it's not all there is. Its counterpart is joy. Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the selfsame well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Khalil Gibran. Suffering and joy are connected, and though we will inevitably experience pain, joy is our true destination and the right of the human spirit. Unleashing our passion and pursuing the things we want bring us to our truth, allowing us to become whole and to make our dreams into reality. Or, as some would put it, to manifest our destiny. Ultimately, that's what you owe the world. When you're healthier and happier, you're in the best position to give back to your loved ones and to the world at large. I'm sure some of you are thinking, I wasn't brought up like this. I was taught to be humble and accept my lot. Yeah, well, so was I. Let's be clear. Wanting things and feeling worthy of a great life does not mean you think you're more deserving or better than everyone else. We are all deserving of happiness. Those of us who throw off society's conventions to attain our goals are showing others that it's possible for them as well. Don't mistake healthy ego strength and prosperity for greed and ostentation. People may try to shake your resolve, but be strong. Don't cave. Lead by example. People can be slow to change, but they'll follow your lead eventually. Even if they don't, do not compromise your happiness because of others' lack of insight. You owe it to yourself and to the wider world to max out your potential. We could spend a lot of time pondering how we've been programmed to believe we have to settle for less and how this fallacy has infiltrated our collective psyche. But seriously, what's the point? Let's save ourselves some time here, kick the shoulds of life to the curb, and call bullshit on this pernicious piece of dogma. Listen to me very carefully. It's time to start living your life the way God, or insert whatever greater power you believe in here, intended. Happily. Got it? Good.